Hi, hey, and hello there. Obi-Han here, and welcome back to the Comic High Ground. Alright, this was a bit of an impromptu video, but some news on Twitter today and responses to it, it kind of made me want to talk about this topic. It's a topic I've been trying to ignore for a while now, but it's the topic of superhero fatigue. There is no such thing as superhero fatigue, okay? And it's gotten really annoying how many people like to go to that phrase for the issue, whenever there's a issue that a comic book movie has in the theaters, box office wise. Everybody just loves to jump to superhero fatigue. There's no such thing. All right, is there romance movie fatigue? Is there rom-com fatigue? Is there scary movie fatigue? Is there sci-fi fatigue? No, right? Because aside from the superhero movies, those have been around a lot longer, and people still go to see their scary movies faithfully every year, and it's not just one a year or two. There's like 4 or 5 of them a year. So the idea that you want to say that there's superhero fatigue because there was 5 superhero movies that came out this year and 5 shows or 3 shows or whatever, and you want to use that as an excuse? No, because again, you have all these other genres that have been around for years and years and years and years, and they have their movies, they have their TV shows, whatever have you. So that's not an excuse. You can't say fatigue, because if that's the case, there should be fatigue for all of them. There's different factors, and in this video, I'll talk about 3 factors, particularly because I narrowed it down to 3 different possibilities, or I don't want to say possibilities. These are 3 things that I'm almost positive are the cause of some of these struggles. And to be honest, there's more, and I might come back for another video to like do like a second part to list out some more things. But these are like the first 3 things that came to mind. So my first bullet point is Marvel and DC have made stupid decisions. And yeah, and some of them might be, well, Obi-Han, DC, they haven't been making bad movies, they just made Superman. Okay, Paul, first of all, shut the hell up, because let's be real, before this newest Superman movie from James Gunn, they were struggling. The Snyderverse was terrible, and they'll admit it more now, but they sure wouldn't back then. The Snyderverse was bad, and honestly, the Snyderverse was like the first initial set of issues with superhero movies. That was what people really like. It was like a barometer of what people would look at, because yes, the Marvel movies were doing good during that time, but Snyderverse showed you how bad superhero movies could be. So there was always that negative connotation with superhero movies, even back with the Snyderverse. Now, as for Marvel is the biggest example, or one of the biggest examples, of suffering from success, because phases 1 through 3, the Infinity Saga, were just, dare I say, perfect. There were some things here and there, but still, it's as close to perfect as you could be. And then phases 4 and 5 happened. Now, I really would attribute this to hubris. I really feel like at that point they felt like they could do no wrong, and so you got these kind of these half-ass measures when it came to putting plots together and everything. And then there was also that Disney mandate that Feige just talked about recently, where they had to focus basically on quantity, not quality. So all these different subpar projects, and it caught up to them, right? I mean, it had to. It was only a matter of time, and that's something that they had to have learned from. Now, and I'll mention Fantastic Four later on in one of my other bullet points, but it's something that they needed to learn from, and it took them too long to learn from it, because I think they were chalking it up as just regular detractors who were always preying on their downfall. But it became more than that. And while I do like some of phases 4 and 5, I can't lie and say that there weren't some major issues with some of the movies and TV shows that they had, and some of the decisions that they made. Which, speaking of decisions, let's go to this next little point under the Marvel DC category, Quantumania. Quantumania, they made the biggest mistake with how they handled Kang. There was no reason that Kang couldn't still be the big bad for Avengers 4, but they used what happened with the actor as an excuse to pivot, because Kang, in their eyes, didn't do well in Quantumania. But how can Kang do well in Quantumania when you have him defeated in the way that you had him defeated? Majors did a good job as Kang. Like, there's no disputing that. But they didn't give him a chance. Thanos didn't show up. That's like the equivalent of Thanos showing up in the first 3 phases and coming against the Guardians, and the Guardians kicking his ass. You kind of have this pre-notion now that's like, well, he got beat by the Guardians. How much of a threat can he be? And that's basically what it was with Ant-Man. I mean, yes, technically speaking, in the confines of the story, Kang was kind of nerfed because he was stuck in the quantum realm, and he did not have full access to his full ability, his full technology and everything. But still, that was one of the worst decisions. And then the decision to pivot from Kang when you had spent this time, because you had Kang and Loki, and then you had that post-credit scene when you introduced the Council of Kangs, I think they were called, when you saw all the different Kangs and stuff. And that's just like up there in the air now, because you really, for lack of a better phrase, you punked out and tried to go to, or decided to go towards the Doctor Doom route, which is the easy way out. They took the easy way out. Doom is a grade villain, of course, but you could have introduced him later, or you could have just introduced him in the Fantastic. Well, they did introduce him in Fantastic Four, but they could have introduced him in a different way. And it really did feel rushed, and that's why also RDJ being casted probably felt like a lot of people said it was a desperate move, and it probably was. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I didn't want to call it a desperate move, but it probably was. I mean, I gotta call a spade a spade. So you get RDJ, you get Doom, and you just drop the Kang story pretty much off screen, and that screams of incompetence, which you shouldn't have that much that level of incompetence right now, because you've been at this for 10 plus years. So that was my first bullet point for why superhero movies are struggling right now. My second bullet point is YouTuber narratives. And when I say YouTuber narratives, anyone who's been watching my channel for the past few months should know who I'm talking about. The Nerdrotics, the Critical Drinkers, the Yellow Flashes, the Ryan Kennels of the world, that one idiot kid who's in his basement is just saying the most stupid crap. I don't even know his name, but I've seen other YouTubers like High CHD. He has talked about him. Who is Birdman has talked about him. Like that kid is an idiot, and I can only assume with the stuff he says, I don't know how YouTube has allowed him to continue to be on here. But I don't know his name, and I'm not going to look up his name. I just know he's known for saying a lot of stupid crap. But anyway, Drinker and Nerdrotic and all them, they have always, since Phase 4 started, basically, has been spreading these messages about the MCU and Hollywood and doom and gloom, and the movies are never going to be the same, but they're always going to suck. Like, when you have those usual suspects constantly making these videos talking about how the MCU sucks, how the MCU is never going to be what it was before, the MCU is done. You know how many times I've seen the title, the MCU is done? Like, they all say that all the time. The MCU is done. Nope. Well, the MCU needs to call it quits. And the MCU never beat it. No. All right. Chill. That's all y'all do. And what happens is you have their followers who eat up everything they say, and then they take it and they go to social media and they spat out the same nonsense that these YouTubers say, and it's just like this constant repetitive cycle where they're just spreading these same narratives. And what happens is weak-minded people start to believe it. They start to say, oh, the MCU isn't what it was before, and they cannot be what they were before because they are so busy with these political agendas and quote-unquote woke stuff that they will never be what they were before. And why should we even try to watch it? And again, there's two sides to the coin, right? Now, am I gonna lie and say that there hadn't been some strange decisions that they have made? No, I'm not gonna lie and say that, because there have been some strange decisions. Some, I guess you can classify. Some of them you might want to say, you might have to admit that they're towards the realm of what they would decide to call woke. They call Ironheart woke. Ironheart wasn't woke. It was a black girl in the Iron Man suit, basically, and they called it woke. Forget the fact that she's in the comics, but of course they called that woke too. So it's different things like that. And even with Captain America: Brave New World, they wanted to try to use the excuse of what Anthony Mackie said in that one interview, but that was taken out. It was misconstrued. It was taken out of context, and they ran with it. But ultimately, the reason Captain America didn't do well is because of who was playing him. It's because it was Sam. That's the only reason. And don't let them lie and tell you otherwise, because it's the fact that it was Sam. If it was this, I always say this, they have the same argument every time. The only Captain America is Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers is the only Cap. But by the same token, these same people will say, it should have been Bucky who got the shield. It should have been John Walker's the real Cap. Well, how? You just said Steve Rogers was the only Cap. So how in the hell are these other two Cap? Make it make sense. You're exposing yourselves, dumbasses. I'm sorry, and this isn't to any of my followers, my subscribers, because I doubt that you all have make those same statements. This is for those people, those obnoxious people who think that they know what they're talking about, but they don't. Because again, you can't say Steve Rogers is the only Captain America. There is no other Captain America, and then turn around and say that it should have been Bucky or freaking John Walker. Come on, have some type of sense about yourself. But I'm going on a rant. The Captain America thing will always get me, but yeah, the woke argument that they always want to cry, and that's what weaker minded people have started to kind of believe in. They start to think that that's really the case, and is not. Now, again, some criticisms are correct. Some criticisms are correct. Now, one movie that Marvel had that a lot of people liked, but I personally wasn't a fan of, was Wakanda Forever, right? But I've listed my reasons for that. They should have recasted T'Challa. And this isn't a video that I'm going to go into that too much. I believe I talked about it before, but I don't know if I've done a whole video. And I might. I don't know. That's such a touchy subject to people. But yeah, so second bullet point, YouTuber narratives. That's another reason for why comic book movies are struggling right now, because you got all this negative information, all this negative aura coming from these people and spreading it around online, and it gets to people. Now, the third point I had is economy, right? Because let's be real, it is not the same now as it was 10 years ago. When it's 2025, so 10 years ago would have been when Age of Ultron came out, because it was in 2015. It's not the same as it was then. People aren't able to go to the movies 2, 3, 4 times like they could back then, because stuff costs too much. Movie ticket prices have gone up, food, snacks, all that has gone up, gas, all that stuff has gone up, and it's not like we're getting paid for everything going up. Everything goes up, and we're still making our same checks. So yeah, I mean, people just aren't able to do that as much. And you couple that with the fact that Feige made the brilliant decision to decide to drop Fantastic Four within the same month, like 2 weeks later, with Superman, which was a dumb decision, because I had forgotten until I think Grace Randolph said it, but he did this back with Batman v Superman and Captain America: Civil War, I think. Apparently Feige has had a habit of releasing movies close to DC movies to upstage them, and this was not the time to do that, because y'all are already reeling right now, and this is Superman. Not only is this Superman, but this is a Superman movie that one of your own made, so chances are is probably going to be good, because one of your own who knows your formula, who knows how you work, who knows the right and the wrong with how the MCU functioned in the beginning, you would think that maybe he knows what he's doing. But no, let's go ahead and toss a Fantastic Four movie in the same month as Superman. That was brilliant, and they're catching the heat for it because according to their report, which is the reason I made this video, I saw there was like an 80% drop of Fantastic Four from last Friday to yesterday. This is Saturday when I'm making this video, the Saturday after. So yeah, what do you expect? You had people going to see Superman for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and by the time Fantastic Four came out, well, if people were gonna go to see a superhero movie more than once, they probably would have went to see Superman more than once because it's been out since the beginning of the month. And by the time Fantastic Four comes around, it's like, dang, I want to see Fantastic Four. Well, I can see it, but I can't go see it more than once because I went to see Superman 2 times, 3 times. I went to see Jurassic World. I went to see that whatever the name of that movie is, the racing movie. Yeah, I went to see this, that, and the other. Like, that happens when you release a movie at the end of the month with so many other movies as competition, particularly Superman. And Superman had performed well, had good word of mouth and everything. Now, of course, Superman has also suffered from the usual suspects, basically trying to talk about it, trying to say it wasn't good, and all these other things, trying to call it woke and everything. That Superman has suffered from that too, but is managed to more or less ignore it, if you will. It still performed pretty well. But again, when you look at it and you look at the superhero movies as a whole, because of course when that report on the Fantastic Four came out, there were comments talking about, like, you guessed it, superhero fatigue. So when you have stuff like that, all this stuff I mentioned in this video going on, is bound to happen. Again, there's no such thing as superhero fatigue, and I think E-Man's the one who said it. It's bad movie fatigue. That's what it is, and that's one of the biggest factors. Like, again, I mentioned bad decisions from Marvel and DC, but those bad decisions lead to bad movies. I liked Thor: Love and Thunder, but looking back on it now, even then when I saw it, I was thinking this, but looking back on it now, it's like, you fumbled the hell out of Gore the God Butcher story. It's a crime how bad they fumbled that story, honestly. And that was the one storyline, Thor storyline, that you had to have leaned in and be like full on dark and gritty with it, because that's the type of story that was. But they screwed it up. And point blank period, they screwed it up. So you have that. You decide to release Eternals. You decide to do Shang-Chi. People like Shang-Chi. I wasn't a big fan of it, but again, you look at the movies that they've released. You will have like a hit, one movie that did well in each of these phases. Like, you had, I think, Phase 4, Spider-Man No Way Home was in Phase 4. That was the big movie of Phase 4. All the other ones were subpar. Phase 5, I think Deadpool and Wolverine was part of Phase 5. Nothing else really performed the par with Deadpool and Wolverine in Phase 5. So, yeah, you make all these weird decisions. Again, and I'm going to say it again, it was partially hubris. Oh, wow, look what we did. Look what we did with the Infinity Saga. Look what we did in Infinity War and Endgame, and look what we were able to do. Look at all the good stuff people are saying. Oh, yeah, we are on top of the mountain right now, and you let your success get to your head. Now, are they far gone? No. I mean, to me, you can't have 3 phases that were as good as they were, and then have 2 phases that were, if you want to call them bad, then call them bad, and then be like, oh, well, the MCU is done, superhero movies are done. No, that's not how that works. You don't build up 3 phases of good favor and then 2 phases are bad, and you're like, screw this, I'm not watching it anymore. That's stupid. It's asinine. Why? It doesn't make sense. You have, if you're weighing that with the positive and the negative, you have 3 phases of good and positive. You have 2 phases of bad, if you want to call it bad, and the negative. The scale is still tilted a little bit more so on the positive side than the negative side. So it doesn't make sense to sit here and say that we're tired of Marvel movies or we're tired of superhero movies because of 2 bad phases. And again, I say, You cannot say superhero. Oh, I'm tired of superhero movies. Okay, well, are you again? I just like I said in the beginning of the video. Are you tired of rom coms? Are you tired of scary movies? Are you tired of biopics? Are you tired of comedies? I can keep going. Like, are you tired of sci-fi? No. Why? Oh, wait, because they're different, right? They're not the same characters. They're not wearing capes, if you will, right? That's why. Well, my answer to that is, was Captain America Winter Soldier a superhero movie only, or was it a spy thriller? Answer that for me. And for that matter, even though people weren't big fans of it, was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a superhero movie, or was it a superhero movie with a sort of scary movie aesthetic to it? Answer that for me. Was Ant-Man a superhero movie, or was it a superhero movie that combined with a thief? I can't think of the name right phrase, but a superhero movie combined with like a robbery thing, a heist movie. That's what they call it, a heist movie. So I mean, I got those examples for. You can give examples for any of those. The beauty of the Marvel movies is that they're not just superhero movies. They are combined. They're combined genres for all of them. Most of them, I'll say. Maybe not all of them. And that's the thing that makes it different. So all you focus on is the fact that they are superheroes, that there's superheroes in it. But there's so much more going on than just superhero stuff in these stories. There's good messages in some of these movies. Now, that's my spiel for now on the superhero movie fatigue thing. But it really pisses me off because don't sit up here and be selective about what you have fatigue on in terms of genres and stuff. If you're gonna have claim for superhero fatigue, then claim fatigue for the rest of the stuff that's been around for 60 plus years, a whole lot longer than superhero movies, because that's ridiculous and it's just spreading the narrative. Now, if you yourself are tired of superhero movies, that's you, and that means you probably were never real fans of them to begin with. But if you're one of those people who are upset because of the way that they have, the direction that they have taken with some of these movies, I can understand that. Certain ideas and stuff that they have had, certain writing decisions they have made have not been it. And no, I'm not talking about Sam and Riri, because those were good decisions regardless of what people say. But writing wise, and even I can mention the issues with Captain America: Brave New World. I like that movie, but I can mention some of the issues. They shouldn't have had. I do truly believe that they probably shouldn't have had Ross or Red Hulk be his big boss fight, because it's a Hulk thing, right? A lot of that movie, true enough, is really more so a Hulk problem than a Captain America problem. I don't know why they went at it the way they did, but they did, right? And it's still, again, it turned out to be a good movie. It's just weird that they took that direction with it. But that is all I'm going to say about this for this particular video. I've been rambling, fussing for like 25 minutes now, and I think you all gotten the point. So hit that like button, drop a comment to let me know what you think about this topic. Do you believe in superhero fatigue, or do you think it's kind of like I said in these bullet points here, those particular reasons? Let me know. Subscribe for more, and remember, we have the high ground. Catch you later.